Sweet.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Adam Yorston here with Yorston Associates, and I have Jordan Rhoads, the Special Projects Coordinator at Principal LED. Jordan, how are you?
Doing good. How about you?
We're doing well. How are things in Texas?
Hot. Very hot. I think it was 111 yesterday.
Awesome. Perfect. Well, we appreciate you making some time to hop on with us. I think I just saw Todd walking behind you there.
Yeah.
You guys are all back up and running completely down there. Crazy busy, right?
Correct. Yes, very busy.
Here we go. So I wanted to make some time here to kind of introduce everyone out there to a few of the things we do different at Principal. And as we were thinking about, one of the major things we do differently is having somebody like you. A lot of LED companies don't have this. So maybe you could jump in and tell us a bit about what you do as a special projects coordinator at PLED.
Yeah. So once we're awarded a program, usually national programs, we will get site surveys in for those locations. And some of the cool things that Principal does is we actually quote job location specific locations. So if you have a location that has multiple signs at it and you're looking to retrofit or do a new construction build on that full site, we'll actually create an order specifically for that site and ship it out. That way it's all there, it's all labeled per location, and then also per sign type.
That's awesome. So really, we take in projects and programs and we break them down, and we realize, we ask the customer, how could you idealistically envision this program or project working? And then we kind of work backwards on how to break that down. And your example is a great one, actually deciding, okay, I need X amount of these at each job site. And does it make sense to kit them and label them and go right to the job site? Or is it something you want in-house and you're going to break down? Kind of a really cool thing. When a project comes in or a program comes in, you know, what's the first thing you're looking at, or how do you begin the process of breaking that down?
Some of the first things is just the sign details. What is the face material? How many signs do I have at the location? What's the depth of all of it? And which product would work the best as a whole for that whole location or the program itself? But a lot of that's usually established beforehand before we start the actual project.
Awesome. You know, we brought up I went to our easy layout builder to quickly bring up a little bit of how quick our layouts turn around. You're familiar with the layout builder. This is for anyone watching, this is on our website, right when you pull it up, about midway through the homepage, the left side is a button called Easy Layout Builder. So you can go right on there and create an instant layout. Now, when the layouts get a little more complicated, you know, beyond what we see here, they end up in Jordan's direction or his team's direction, and they start to break them down. But what's really cool about our layouts, Jordan, that I've seen compared to others, is all of the detailed information we put on there. You know, when you're breaking this down for a project or program, maybe you could talk about some of the things that through our layout or our layout builders that are unique.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that we put on there that a lot of people like is, for instance, the wattage. They like to know the total amount of wattage that is used. Another thing is a stroke. The Easy Layout Builder, I don't think actually does measure the stroke and reference it, but for the more complex layouts, or the layouts that need a set of eyes and actually need to be drawn manually, we actually put the stroke of the letters so that it's an easy reference, since you do get this in a PDF form.
Yeah, absolutely. And we can do this in the letters. We have a version of this in a box form as well, and it optimizes the LED. So it's an easy way to get started. Now, when this starts to turn into something more complicated, obviously you can get in there.
Right.
I think what's kind of cool, Jordan, is that in our custom applications, you can get at Principal, we can get down to as detailed as how long do you want the wire length? Would you like it to be put on a type of stick or flat stock? Is there a certain type of wire that you would require? Would you like the power supplies in the box or just sent for you to wire. So a lot of different applications. If we could just take a look at the box layout, and then we'll go back to the main screen.
Yeah, and Adam, while you're going to that, another cool thing that I've noticed with LW8 that LED Wizard 7 didn't have, it's a really cool feature. It's actually you can select a face material. So if you're using 7328, 2447, it's an eighth of an inch thick, whatever the thickness is, we're able to adjust that accordingly to whenever we do a layout.
Also, and let's go back to the main screen, which is you and me on there. But basically, when we're taking in layouts or projects or programs, beyond just asking the questions of how deep or how wide or how tall, we're actually asking, what's your face material?
Exactly.
What's the lumen output you're looking to achieve at the face?
Right.
And what we're going to do here in a couple of minutes, we're going to bring on a special guest. But even when we get to complicated RGB solutions, we're asking even in depth, where and how are you going to control it? That's pretty cool. Anything from the project or program world that that you think is unique that we do out there as well?
Trying to think.
And we just flashed your info because we want all the tough questions to go directly to you. So at the bottom of the screen, we had Jordan's phone number and email on there. I want the ones, Jordan. So I wanted to make sure everybody out there's got contact for you.
Yeah, definitely. If anybody wants to contact me about any questions about our product or LW8, how it works, reach out to me. I'm more than happy to help.
And what Jordan references as LW8 is LED Wizard 8. It's the newest version of LED Wizard. It's something that Principal currently owns and continues to improve. And there is incredible amount of features in LED Wizard 8.
Yes.
Jordan, we got a question or a comment. Hey, Jordan, good to see you. Hope you and John received the energy drinks.
Yeah, John's been busting at some layouts for Brian. He's been working hard on some pretty good projects. So he thought he would reward him or give him a little a treat for helping him out. That's awesome. Thanks, Brian.
Please, if anybody's watching, please ask any questions. If you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, we're happy to help. Jordan, when we get into unique projects, a big theme right now is RGB, right? Everybody wants to do more complicated RGB projects. They want to get into, larger scale control mechanisms. So we've had a tremendous opportunity here at PLED to create a partnership with a company called Crotech.
Correct.
And you work hand in hand with them on a lot of different projects?
Yeah. Some of our bigger projects, there's been a few in Vegas that we've done that are huge. They're just enormous. They're huge signs. And some of them are architectural kind of builds. So yeah, I've worked hand in hand with Gary, and we've done quite a few projects recently, and it's been a great partnership. They've been a lot of help, and they are very hands-on, which we love. So,
just to recap, Jordan's out there for all of these special projects, multi-location programs. And then when we get into the larger scale RGB stuff, we've got a partnership with a company called Crotech. And instead of just telling you how great Crotech is, we'll bring in Gary from Crotech. He'll join us and maybe he can tell us a little bit more about their capabilities. So Gary, if we can have you hop on. Hey, Gary, how you doing?
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
All right, how you guys doing?
The 2020 video conference, am I on mute or not yet situation.
Exactly, right? We were backstage, so I was like, uh-oh, I'm muted and backstage.
Well, we appreciate you joining us. Gary is located in Las Vegas. Gary, before we jump into a bunch of questions, because I've got a lot of questions for you. Sure. Gary's a senior specialist at Crotech for RGB controls. But could you tell us a bit about Crotech? And then Jordan and I, we're going to jump in. I've got a lot of questions for you. I'm sure people watching will as well.
Sure. Crotech we're a controls company. Kurt and I have lived our life in RGB and architectural large installations and controls, designing them, executing them. There's many large RGB installations across this country that Kurt, myself, or another member, two other members of our team actually have most likely touched that you guys view all the time. A lot of our signatures up and down the strip that we've all been a part of. We've got installations across the country, across the world that we've all been a part of. We take the guessing game out of those folks who've never actually messed with RGB, DMX, ArtNet, all the craziness that people talk and all the tech that people talk. We help take that craziness out for you. And we partnering with Principal is just taking us to a different market. We've been in that bigger, large scale market. Now we are in the getting into the signage market and helping the signage groups, which is an up and coming market who's really jumping into the RGB and grasping onto it. And it's been a great synergy so far from day one that we started this.
That's incredible, Gary. I'm gonna jump into questions, but I gotta address. We got two questions coming in from one of Jordan's favorite guys out there. One of them is going to be Matt Smith. There, we won't comment on his spelling error, but I think he's asking how many layouts are we doing a day. Jordan, you have a rough estimate how many layouts we're pumping out a day now? Jordan, we lost you.
He's muted.
He did the mute thing. We even joked.
Sorry. Sorry. We roughly do around 125 to 150 layouts a day. And that's not including any kind of program work that we do.
So what's the guys from Vegas send you to do?
Probably, I don't know. Honestly, I'd have to look. But there are some layouts that Gary and them send, and there's not a huge volume of layouts that we get from y'all, but they're very, very dense. I'll say that.
That's pretty incredible. To answer Matt's question, in the long and short of it, I guess using Jordan's number, we're about 700 layouts a week then.
Yes.
Which is it's climbing fast. One more question Matt had, and this will be a good one for you, Gary, and for Jordan. When do I use a Crotech controller instead of one of the normal basic RGB controllers we keep in the Principal lineup? And I'll let you two fight that one out. I don't want to give my opinion.
So Gary, tell me, and this is my thoughts on it. Me and Gary usually talk about it and discuss whether or not it's a program that needs a huge system, because Gary's systems, they're a little bit more on the spendy side, but
and we're going to show some pictures. They're pretty elaborate.
Yeah, and they do a ton of different functions. But I mean, if you're looking at a big job and it's going to be what would you call it? It's just a huge job that's going to catch a lot of attention. Then yeah, we probably want to go with Crotech on it. But if it's hey, here's a donut shop and they want to put RGB light tape around their windows, we're probably not going to go down that road.
Right.
Yeah.
You're right about that.
Right.
It's your lower projects that's your interaction is a smaller value, a smaller focus. Something is easily accessible to a customer where they can get to it with the T3 remote with that smaller controller and remote. Things that are on the top of a high rise and they've got a letter set on the top of the high rise or a feature on the top of a high rise and they want to be able to control it from downstairs in the reception area.
Right.
And that's where we come in as one of our easiest places to shine.
Right. I think what you're looking at is Principal. We focused on a great LED product, a great power supply, and having a ton of inventory. And when it comes to the RGB stuff, if you want to hit some basic colors and change your channel letters, we've got you hands down. But our partnership with Crotech probably basically says if you can dream it, we can control it.
Exactly.
So, more of that. If we can, let's take a look at, Gary, I want to take a look at one of our dashboard pictures, and you can walk us through what we're looking at here, and then we'll get to some of your elaborate pictures. So if you're out there watching or listening, don't jump away because the cool pictures are coming up.
Yeah. So our dashboard that we can create is custom for everybody. So right now you can see I've got a dashed out area where it says customer logo here. I can put the customer end user's logo on that target point. I can change the color of buttons to whatever we change them to. Right now, I have them changed at blue. I have our logo at the bottom. That can be the sign logo. But on page 1, which is the top part of this tab that you have, when you look at your controller in the tablet, whether it's on a PC or on a tablet, you have tabs that go across the top, just like we're all used to using. And it's just as simple as clicking that button, and where it says all white, we're going to make everything on their building white. And same thing, any of those are, the first page is always, the way we have it laid out, is always solid colors. So that's quick and easy. You know, something happens and they need to turn the building green for the night, they can go to this, push the green button, and their building's going to be green for the night. And then if you go to the next tab, and move us over onto the,
if we can look at the next image.
Yep. So this is where we get into your specialties. We have you have a daily show that is set. That show is going to run every single day. That's what the customer wants. So their building and or their marketing direction has come from that's what their signature is. It's going to be a signature blue. It's going to be a signature orange, whatever their colors are, or it's a signature pattern that runs. That's located on this page. But on this page also, we've come up with the Valentine's Day show, a St. Patrick's Day show, patriotic show, which covers your Memorial Day, your Labor Day, your 4th of July, 9/11, and any more, when coronavirus participation. It gives the end user the ability to become part of the world, and celebrating with the world and doing what the world is doing. And that's the biggest thing that this system brings to the end user. It brings all of these things at the touch of a finger, and they can participate in events that happen. I know that Officer Down typically goes blue in cities, and a lot of people who have RGB will participate in that. Or if for whatever reason they've got a high school, I use this one in Texas especially because football is kind of big in Texas. A high school football team makes it to the state championship, so that building is now going to be those high school team colors for the night. Or
I heard that rumor about football being big in Texas. You would think they could put together a good pro team,
right?
Hey, Gary, well, I've got you though. I don't want to get too deep because we got questions piling up. So these are two big questions. I'm just they're gonna be on the side here. We'll pull it up so that you can read it while we read it out loud. First one from Matt Smith. How many different parts of a lighting system can you control with the Crotech controller? I mean, can you control the border tubing and the letters and have the same effect, or even create different effects?
Yes. So we can do we can control border, we can control LED letters, we can control parking lot wash features or building wash fixtures. We can control white lights. We can control pretty much anything you can think of. It can do either the same thing, it can do different things, and it can be doing things that lead up to all working in one as a unison. So the answer to that question is yes. I mean, it's pretty much, if you dream it, we can control it. Like you said earlier, it's a true statement.
Yeah, well, I think this goes to this next question. This is from Corey Kennedy, a great customer out there out of New Jersey. Corey says, how do you guys tackle the problem of RGB white not being a true white? Can Crotech integrate both RGB strand and a white strand and switch between them?
Yes. So that's actually how we would recommend it. If you're going to do a project, and let's just say you're doing a 20-foot letter set, and the primary color is going to be a 6500K white, we recommend you putting in a 6500K white module and then the Street Fighter RGB module. And when the colors are needed, our decoder has a 4th channel for the white. So we're turning the white on when we need it. And then when the white is not needed, the white comes off and the colors come up to full so that we can have those colors. That's a question. And that is something, our actual first project we did with Principal was just that. It was 10 columns in New York, it had RGB for the color, and then they had the white for the white. So they were using them as downlight, but wanted the ability to be able to switch them for holidays when needed.
And you could use the RGB white that it gives off. So RGB in the white form would just pretty much be all three of the colors turned on at the same time.
Yeah, a lot of people like that. Don't like the purple.
Yeah, exactly. The
Right.
RGB white is not a good white, so that's why a lot of people like to do an RGB LED and then do a white right next to it.
So, I mean, those are good points. And Gary, the fourth channel on that decoder is a good thing to know for a company like for Corey that asked that question. That's a very does a lot of architectural work. They're very, very nitpicky, if you will, on those colors being exact. If we can, let's show one of the pictures that go through some of the pictures, especially knowing we've got some great people on here.
Sure.
Well, we'll finish out the dashboard and then we'll get to some of your cool pictures.
Just real quick, this is just an end user dash piece that allows you, like that football team, they can either select the all and everything on their building will change to that color, whatever they select, and they just drag your finger around on that line and pick a color. Or they can do, if they have multiple lines of something, they can click the odd and the even and then pick the two colors, so they can pick the two colors of the football team going.
That's pretty cool.
Oh, that is pretty cool.
That option, and it's live, and it'll play that way until the next show starts.
And just before we jump to the pictures, you see up there it says customer logo here. Yep. Gary has the ability at Crotech there. We've worked on enough projects that if you're a signed company or a distributor out there and you're looking at this as a solution, we can really make these brand and project specific so that they actually they get that full look and feel that you want to present to the customer, as opposed to just providing something generic. But Gary,
this is an actual dashboard that I just covered over their logo.
That's perfect. Okay, so Gary, I saw some pictures you shared with me. I want to put one or two of them up here and talk to you about them because they're pretty spectacular. So we'll start with this one. This is a big, it looks like a hospital job.
Yeah, so this is a hospital job. That is Principal Street Wrap 2 on the building.
So the Street Wrap 2 is our rigid border tube wrapping around that building.
Yes, sir. And then we have, there's 3 sides on the top, and then on the back side, which you can't see, is another 3 areas, 2 returns in the front, and then they have this one down on the 4th floor. This was a unique experience. The customer had installed it, and they didn't pipe between the 2 controllers. There was no way to get wire from the roof to the 4th floor. So we brought in a wireless DMX format where I was able to shoot from the roof down to the 4th floor and hit a receiver. So now the first floor and the roof 4th floor and the roof are synced together at all times.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah.
And when you say wireless, I know people think of broadband, they think of connected to modems. When you say wireless in this regard, you're talking about one connected to the Wi-Fi there, but you're using technology to get from one controller to one receiver?
Yes, it's just controller to controller. It has nothing to do with your phone wireless or anything along that wireless. It's actually it's a dedicated band straight to RGB in the DMX bandwidth.
That's pretty awesome.
Hey, Gary, I have a question, actually, and I haven't asked you this yet just because I haven't really thought of it, but is there a way to control your systems remotely? So like say the person that oversees the lighting at this hospital, if they're actually quarantined or say they're at home because of all this COVID stuff and they're working from home, can they manually change the colors from their device or no?
So it's really that's where you get in deep into the network side of things. It really depends upon the ownership of the hospital, if they'll let us on their network. And then from that point on, it would be the IT's job to get them a VPN into their own network, in which case they would be able to do it. There is a cellular broadband system that we do provide also that would give you that access, but when you're on a building like this, it's easier to get on through the company's IT infrastructure already there.
I gotcha. Okay. Just curious.
But I guess to answer Gary's questions the way he has in the past so far, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, you can do it. In broadband, Gary and I worked on a solution recently where broadband was the only solution, and we were a unique candidate because no one else really brought that to the table. So if we could pull up another image, because these are pretty exciting. The next image here, I'm guessing this is another Street Wrap Gen 2 job.
This is actually a Street Wrap Gen 1 job, and this one was my little baby. This was a city in Iowa, Sac City, Iowa. It's about a mile long on both sides of the street. Most of the buildings were built in the early 1900s, and they have RGB lighting on all sides. There's no wire infrastructure. It's all wireless DMX in between, and they can control every section. The buildings are in groups as they go down, so they can control every building group as they go down. There's many different shows on holidays. When I got done with this project and turned it over, it was me, the mayor, and the bank president standing in the middle of the street with our touch controller and touching and changing the shows. And it was just a fun job, and it's still running like a champ today.
That's pretty awesome.
Yep.
All the way out in Iowa.
Yep.
I know Brian's watching, so that's his Iowa shout out. And then we've got a couple more here. We'll go through. Now this is pretty wild. I saw this a while ago for the first time.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is a combination of obviously a great design, but without the controller, you can't achieve the design.
Yeah, and then this is getting stepped up. This was one I threw in there just to show you guys what is capable and some of the things that we're working with Principal on, and that's getting into pixel products so that you don't have currently right now everything is uniform, so everything is a uniform piece. So if it's a 4-foot piece, an 8-foot piece, that's the length that you can control. Moving into pixels, we'll be able to control every 3 to 4 inches within that 8-foot piece, and we'll be able to create movement and lots of motion and effects, left and right fades. It brings a whole new element into the product line.
So in this job, when we're looking at this job, every one of those sticks or pieces of acrylic, every couple of inches of that can be independently controlled by your controller or dashboard. You can make that whole thing do whatever you want it to do.
Correct. Actually, if you go to our website, there's a video on the front page that you can hit and watch, and you'll see we can control every 2 inches of every one of those sticks, and that whole facade just hits and comes to life.
That's cool.
Yeah, Jordan's getting real excited about all those special projects that are coming his way.
Yeah, right?
They wrote down the email. They're like, anything weird's going to Jordan. We'll flash, Gary. We'll put your number up there and your email as well, and we'll move on to the next picture here. And we have so many of them. They're just awesome. I want to keep moving through. This is in your hometown, right, Gary?
Yep. So this one's in our backyard. But the reason why I posted this one is this one was a sign company who had never even touched DMX before this project. We were able to work with them to pick a fixture, pick a manufacturer of a fixture, and design the system, train their guys how to install it, and then be there to actually have the whole system come together and watch. And this, we actually have we have remote access to this at all times. We get daily requests sometimes, especially with all the current events that have been going on in our crazy world. Tonight we're going to make it this color. Tonight it's going to play this. And we can log on from here. We do have access to this one, Jordan. From anywhere in the world, we can log in and we can make it do whatever we need it to make it do.
So anywhere you have internet, you can change what this looks like down on the Las Vegas Strip.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
That is cool.
So that's one of the ones I threw in there because it was just it's a true testament to what we do.
And I'm seeing 3 different colors here. So how do the sections broken up, or are they just that you're transitioning based on a module count? I mean, we out there, we'll get into a deeper conversation one day about DMX and all that. But how are you achieving all these different colors, and what is the light fixture in there?
So this is a big Traxon flood fixture.
Okay.
It's a big it's a 100-watt Traxon flood fixture that is just saturating that whole inside of the tower. And it's the tower is very persuasive with its sections, you get deceived by the size of it until you have to climb the stairs, which is one of the only ways up that thing. And I've spent many steps up and down it. But you, from each one of the little rungs going across, where it looks like it's, oh, it's like 8 or 10 feet. It's actually like 40 feet.
Golly.
So I mean, they're big sections. So that's how we're able to get the separation, because we actually have sections in catwalk that are blocking as it goes up.
I don't think you're getting me more than like a quarter of the way up the blue.
Oh, it was.
I don't think I'm going past there.
It was fun. It was a fun project. It's one of the things that we all do here. We're all passionate about it, and we all have fun with the projects that we do.
I mean, these are a great set of pictures. I don't know if we have any more. I guess we'll find out in a second.
I think that was it.
Those are pictures. So Gary, I mean, teaming up with what Principal has to offer, bringing your control system into it, we've got the ability to control your RGB from anywhere.
Yep.
We've got the ability to control your RGB in multiple sections.
Yep.
We have the ability to schedule your stuff on holidays or any random date throughout the year that you want to do something special, or on an impulse. And a great question that we had and we answered for anybody watching, we've got the ability to run 4 strands off of it. So we've got our red, green, blue, and a complete white LED, which means we've got the ability on the same control dashboard to give the end user a true white, and then go through our billion color cycle that we can achieve in RGB.
There's one last thing I'll throw out there, because it's one of the things that I like to throw out there, because a lot of people don't think of it. Our system will also control single color LEDs. So if you've got a single color letter set that you're doing, they're all red, but you want them to spell, we can do spellers, we can do faders with single colors. They can be white, they can be green, they can be blue, whatever your single color is. The system will work to that effect to give you a newer technology you would, as opposed to a 3-point flasher. It's just, now it's something we can make specific to that customer. If we're holding 3 letters red and then they're spelling on the rest of them, or if we're spelling on as it goes, the creativity is endless, and it doesn't have to be RGB. It
right,
can be
a pulse feature, or as you mentioned, a phase out and transition back on.
Yep.
That's a pretty cool thing. I didn't even think about that, Jordan. That's even on our end, because we sell a lot of white LEDs. Yep. That's a great add-on to bring to the white LED world. Maybe somebody doesn't want RGB or all the color options, or maybe they're just doing just red for a program. Adding something like this allows you to have that next level to it.
Allows you to have that next step to give you your red letter set some kind of attraction to bring people in. One of the things I learned very early on in my sign world is your sign wants to pull people to you. You want to give them something that pulls them over to see what's going on. So that's the way I've always thought about programming. All your programming is pulling people to you.
And Gary, I got a sidebar question. This one came over via text message while we were here. A customer out in Pennsylvania, he says, is there a limit to how many DMX universes their controller can handle? I don't know if I fully understand that, but maybe you do.
I do.
So, okay,
yeah. So the answer to that question is, we have systems that we can handle up to 2,048 universes.
Wow.
So
I would have just said maybe 3 or more.
And just to put it in this perspective for you, in an RGB fixture, that's 170 fixtures per universe.
So you said 2,048?
48. Yeah.
Yikes.
And now you're talking. Now you're into a full server, but yes, it can be done.
Well, I know this particular person sent a text. They do some pretty elaborate projects. I'm hoping 2,048 is enough.
I hope so too.
We'll find out, though, I guess. Jordan, as promised, so all the really, really tough, complicated, confusing stuff, I made sure we put Gary's info at the bottom also.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I figured if it was really wild, hopefully it just goes straight to Gary, or any type of complaint goes to Gary. And then you and I can just stay here doing the orders.
Yeah.
The
easy enough. Appreciate it, Gary.
Hey, thanks, guys.
Gary, we really appreciate you hopping on. I learned I learned a lot on this one. We're going to totally send this back out to more customers. We did have some great distributors and great companies hop on and ask questions. So we really appreciate you making time out there in beautiful, sunny Las Vegas.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Gary. Jordan, that was pretty intense. I didn't even know what a universe was.
Yeah, well, and then to have 2,048 of them, good Lord.
I thought there was only 9 planets. Or 8, right? We got rid of one.
Oh, gosh.
Well, I definitely appreciate you coming on. I know that we're going to miss you next week, but we'll get you the week after. We're going to talk about some special projects that you were probably a part of that our photo contest winners sent in. So we'll bring a couple of those on next week, and then we'll catch you the week after, and maybe we'll do a little tour of the facility and check out some of the equipment there.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, 2,048 universes. That will be like my buzzword the rest of the day. Someone calls up for an RGB, I'm like, look, we can do 2,048 universes if you want.
And then they're going to ask what you're talking about. Be like, I don't know. Call Gary.
Right. Well, Jordan, appreciate your time. Enjoy Texas. Thanks for hopping on.
No problem. Talk to you later, Adam.
See you soon.